I'm here with Matt Grippo, the General Manager of the Workday Cloud Platform, to discuss how Workday Extend is being used by Workday customers. So Matt, can you introduce your role within Workday?
I'm the GM of Workday Cloud Platform. Workday Cloud Platform is a product and engineering team made up of the folks who build our business process framework, our integration cloud platform, our API frameworks, as well as the Extend platform. We are largely responsible for the developer forefront at Workday.
And partners are the ones who would build for their customers and your customers, your joint customers.
Right, that's correct, yes.
We heard a lot from partners in the past also. So my first question, there is a lot of uncertainty right now in the market, economic issues coming up. Everybody's expecting maybe a recession coming. There is a tight economic environment in most companies. How does Workday platform fit in the current business needs and the requirements from your customers in this kind of an environment?
When you're in tight economic times, you're going to want to make sure that you're consolidating down and removing any sort of barnacle systems, manual processes, things that are costing you money, adding risk, and by focusing in on the main platforms or systems that you have, Workday being the one for people and money, you're able to pull that risk away and pull those extra systems away and simplify and consolidate down. This is a reduction of complexity for the IT landscape. It just so happens that Extend really excels at allowing you to do that within the Workday system. One of the things that you get is, hey, now I can centralize the data model. I don't have people data flying all over the place to subsystems. It's version safe, so there's less maintenance. The security model is more unified. And so there are a lot of advantages and ways that you can look at Extend as a way to decrease risk, decrease costs. And then the second factor is just you've got a big asset in Workday. How do you get the most out of it that you possibly can? So there's, of course, the other angle of just making sure your return on investment is maximized. And Extend is a tool that allows you to do that, as well as other platform tools like Prism and Journeys.
I think the security model that you brought up is quite important to the customers I talk about. So the enterprises, they have to constantly innovate to meet these changing business environments, and applications help the companies navigate these changing requirements that are coming up and transformational needs. With so many tools out there, why are customers building apps with Workday Extend and overall cloud platform?
I'll first tell you that platform is not a zero-sum game. The best enterprises are going to look at a set of platform elements that are going to help them build in the right place at the right time for the right thing. And a lot of those platform elements will likely be connecting to each other. So often the question is, well, if this organization has this platform, why would they need this platform? You'll see things here at DevCon where we're announcing partnerships with other platforms because there are advantages to, say, a platform that's a partner platform to ours. We specialize in certain areas, they specialize in certain areas. And so that's the first point I wanted to make. It's not like a we win, they lose, or they lose, we win sort of situation. You have to make the right decisions for the right platforms. So, and then there are what's the advantages of these various platforms. And I could probably list off advantages for others, but I'll talk about ours. The Workday Extend platform and our other platform elements, I always boil it down to three main things. The first thing is doing the right thing in the right place. So by working in a platform like Extend, you are extending the base business objects that are delivered by Workday, and you're fusing into those business objects right in the core of the system. That has a number of advantages with respect to obviously working with those core records and being able to attach more data onto them and more meaning onto them in a very fluid way. It's not only data though. You also have to think about the business processes. Every single business process from hire to retire, cash to close is in Workday. Right? And then with Extend, you can develop new business processes. And you can fuse those into the system alongside of all those other business processes that are running around your people and money. The last is, of course, in some instances, being able to build in the same UI is going to give you advantages. Right? And so that's an important thing to think about. And then they get a consistent experience in that UI. So the second one is the thing we already touched on, which is the risk and security. You bought Workday for all this trust, for all this security, for the system that we run. You throw it all away if you build it in another platform.
Yeah, that is true.
You got to recreate all of that. The compliance, the auditability, the version safety, you all get that all for free when you're running on Workday Platform and Extend. And then the last really is, and kind of back to the original point again, the interconnectedness. Extend is built as a system that readily interconnects via API to other systems. It also weaves between systems within Workday. So think of it like something that's a wonderful mesh that allows you to not only exist within the Workday ecosystem and cross-connect things like business processes and Prism and data flows, but also allows you to connect outside of the Workday system, to connect to other systems and interoperate with other systems, which then goes back to that, it's a constellation, it's not a star.
Any changes you make on one side or the others because you're using a common data model, it does not get affected and
You've got a far more stable environment. So those two things, doing the right thing in the right place, doing it with trust and security, and then having the interconnectivity you need to be a part of the constellation of IT.
I spoke to a couple of customers earlier this year, one in insurance, one in manufacturing, different use cases, different ways. Where do you see, customers, really innovating? Just one of them was like, okay, I got a small IT department, a limited budget, I can do a lot more. One said, hey, I want to improve the business processes, like you talked about earlier. So where do you see these kinds of innovations going on in customers?
So there is no pattern as far as what type of customer, what industry, how big, how small. They're all doing it. What we do see is what are the motivating factors for why the customer does these things. The thing that you got to remember is the use case is very specific. All customers come down to what I see as, again, three main themes of motivating factors. The first one is urgency. I've got to do something super quick. I've got to react to a changing business environment, and that comes up all the time. And having a system where you can do it quickly without having to do a bunch of controls and security and having that all built in, being able to move in the matter of days as opposed to months or weeks is really advantageous for urgent needs.
So is there a specific marketing campaign, somebody wanted to do a short-term running marketing campaign, be one of those?
Well, let me talk about what the two of those examples are. It's not a marketing campaign. This is things like St. Luke's Hospital having their time tracking system go offline for 2 months. Their system went down and was unavailable, and they needed to go react very, very quickly to figure out a way to track time in that interim. With Extend, they were able to build a stopgap solution in 3 days. Get it up and running and respond. Got them through that amount of time and allowed them to react quickly. And of course, they had all their system of record there. It was really valuable for them to be able to make sure they could run that and track it in the right place. That's one urgency. Another example would be 3M dealing with return to work issues and trying to figure out, getting a handle on who is where, people had moved around, being able to track the movement as well as the tax implications, and doing it in a way that they had to. They were able to stand up a solution for that and do that very quickly. So those are two urgent examples. Is the innovation category. And this is what I call is customers coloring outside the lines of what Workday applications deliver. And the reasons that customers do this are because we can't fit everybody's needs. No matter how big and how wonderful and how great Workday is, customers are always going to want derivations that are very particular to them, very particular to the way they do things, how they do them. When Workday goes to build things, thinking as a product company, we have to think about building something that's going to apply to multiple customers. So when you're in that crack of something that is unique to you, you really want to do it in the right place with the right system, but you know that the product isn't going to deliver it because it's very unique to the way you do things. Extend really fills that gap really well. One of my favorites is there's a customer that's a chicken distributor, and so they have a free chicken app. People that work for that distributor get to take home a certain amount of free chicken. And we're not going to build a free chicken app, I'm sorry. It just makes me crack up every time I talk about it because it's just, But that matters to that business and their employees. Okay, I'll go on to which is in the times we're in, the way the mindset is right now, a lot of it is obviously cost control, simplification, reduction in complexity. And so that is the consolidation theme. I'll give you two examples of that. Coca-Cola, they don't run Workday payroll. They may run Workday payroll, but they also run multiple other payroll systems. I mean, they're also a huge
company, acquisitions, everything.
And what they were doing manual processes from Workday out to these systems to figure out how to configure the payroll based on the parameters of the employees. What they did is they were able to remove all that manual process by pulling it back into an application and extend where they could set up all the parameters and pass those to all the other subsystems in the way they need to, putting that into a business process and making sure it's done tightly. And they removed a ton of overhead by doing it. Another example, and this is in the world of financials, is Cushman Wakefield. This is actually a partner-delivered solution, so this is in a crowd. They had a solution that they have out in the market, and some of our SI partners, they have these solutions that they bring to customers. And this was a application that allowed Cushman to do journal line reclassification. And it was tweaked in a way in which it harnessed on top of their financial system so that they could modify and deal with the journal line entries in the way that they wanted to. That process, I've told, is resulted in them saving $1 million a year.
Wow, that's a good ROI.
So it's a consolidation of these things that are either subsystems that are complicated and being able to pull that into a central system, or manual processes that can be squashed. Where they simplify the world, they reduce cost, they reduce overhead, and they reduce risk.
So a wide range of use cases, different industries, different specific unique needs, Workday Extend is being used in those cases to deliver what the customer wants, what the business wants. I attended, Workday Summit earlier this year, where I had met you also. At that time, there was a customers who said that we share anonymized data with Workday. And I know you talked about business process improvement. What I would like to know is, when you get all that data, again, it's anonymized, can you get benchmarks and, maybe share it and say, hey, you can use Workday just Cloud Platform or Workday Extend specifically. Here is where your business process may be needing improvement, or you are behind the averages in the industry.
Well, one of the things to know is Extend is actually interesting because Extend does have that data system.
Okay.
Now, this is for the development of applications. But within Extend, if you're developing applications, you have a complete statistics warehouse of all your logs, all your usage, and the ability to log custom stuff into that environment. And we're, of course, logging stuff automatically into that environment, so the customer has complete transparency into the apps they're building. And that's really the first place where Workday is, in a way, built a sort of system-level data repository. Right. Now, I'm not going to tell you any of this stuff is going to come in the next 6 months, but put your thinking hat on and go, oh, they have Extend. They've figured out how to allow customers to log data and combine that with log data. Right. And they have a full data warehouse that's available to them showing that usage. How do we leverage that asset in a way in which other data can be logged into it from other subsystems, allowing the customer to have access to that data for things like what you're talking about is, this is distinct from the data as a service stuff that we do, which is, the combination of tenants for things like benchmarking different businesses. This is more about the mechanics of how your system's set up and then having visibility into the mechanics. So no product announcements here, but a lot of activity and a lot of interest. I don't think customers want that data spoon-fed to them in some prepackaged way. Customers that are sophisticated enough, they want the raw data so they can then do their own data science.
So now we got a lot of customers say, hey, we use low code, no code, we love it, it goes, much faster. Now there is this whole generative AI coming. There's thoughts of, okay, can I use generative AI to do some of the things I need in my SaaS platform? And, could some of those things that come out of generative AI, large language models, not displace, but augment, enhance the low code, no code experience that customers have gotten used to from Workday?
Extend has been investing very heavily in App Builder. Is our 100% web-based building experience for Extend applications. We've already put a stake in the ground that within the next 18 months we're going to be a 100% no-code environment. You will still have the ability to create applications without writing code as well, and those will live side by side in a seamless way. We just did a customer advisory council yesterday where we showed some of the initial designs on some of the UI building. We already are completely no code with respect to every object in Extend except for our UI pages right now. That's the final frontier. Data objects, business processes, orchestrations and workflows, They're all an app builder. And actually, UI building is an app builder, but you're still writing script at
Right.
the moment. We made the commitment to do it in a way that's really intelligent and thoughtful, I think, which is we're focusing on allowing the professional developer to move with less friction, lowering the cost to build for our customers. And in doing that, we bring simplification in, and we'll start to capture more and more folks that are further down the spectrum of business analyst as opposed to professional developer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We think those two things go together. So that's one layer. And we have to talk about two categories of machine learning. The one is everything that we're doing inside the Workday applications around machine learning. The other one is, I think some of what you talked about was, well, could you use some of this generative AI, ML stuff to help you write code? I think they're orthogonal to each other, and I want to talk about both. So on the ML side, we've made a commitment that absolutely any ML API or capability that we put into our applications to service our applications, that we will then expose those APIs through Extend for use by the Extend platform. So how does generative AI play into that? We are already there are two ways it plays in actually. We're already in the process of developing generative AI within our applications. And as we develop those APIs that feed into those applications, they'll be made available through Extend. You'll see that exposure of having business-specific utilitarian APIs that use Gen AI technology. And we've already got APIs that are out the door at Hackathon this year that are full ML enabled APIs that are going to be fed through Extend as well. Things around document scanning, skills, but in the particular focus in Gen AI, we're still bootstrapping up there. The other thing is I've seen a number of folks who have built POCs using Extend with current Gen AI APIs that are available out there in the world. I've seen things like folks connecting out to OpenAI to help them write job requisitions. I will create I always put a little caution out there when we talk about this because it wouldn't be data secure every time you're feeding something into OpenAI. But Extend allows you to connect to any API you want to connect to. And so if customers have the appetite and they understand the risk, they can utilize these technologies today using Extend. But they have to understand what the trade-off is, right? If you're going to plug into an OpenAI API, all that data is going to a non-enterprise destination. But the demos are great. So we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard, but Extend is a development platform. It allows for that experimentation and that play. We're an application-based company, and our platform comes from the strength of our applications. And thereby we make a commitment as we develop technology into our applications. That technology becomes available through our platform. That's a commitment to our customers and our partners. Now, the last is, when are we going to have some Gen AI that helps you write code? And I'll tell you that my team is actually experimenting with that, but I have no product announcements around. It's totally within the realm of possibility that we'll be able to see something that allows you to do some plain language explanation of, I would like to do something like this, and have some Gen AI that would be able to produce some code and Extend.
So last comment question on this. This was quite a sold out event from what I'm seeing. In terms of, I couldn't get into some sessions because they said it's all sold out. What is your commitment to developers who have spent a lot of their energy on the Workday platform? And
what are our core values? And one of the ones that always comes up is remembering that we are responsible for an ecosystem, right? That our job is to make or break the careers of people who work on the platform. Our commitment is to continue to cultivate that ecosystem. And there's lots of things I could talk about. Yes, we're going to support partners building solutions, and yes, we want a vibrant, but at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're creating a career for somebody. There are people now that are building careers on being Workday Extend developers.
And they had no background in computer science before.
Coming from the administrative side, and I've talked to a few of them here. Some that were working, say they were working as integration engineers, and they started to veer off. So they come from different places, but the weight of that statement and understanding what that means, I think, hopefully makes you understand how we think about it, which is, we look at this very seriously. We look at this as people are doing their day-to-day jobs using our platform to build things for customers.
Yeah.
And creating this event is a part of making sure we create a venue for them. DevCon is for the developer.
I really appreciate your time. Any closing comments that you might have, to tell our viewers?
No, just thank you for coming to DevCon, Larry.